Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 11. Week 11, whew, it's happening fast now. We're headed into November, if you can believe it. So happy Halloween for those of you who celebrate or who hand out candy or who buy the candy with all intentions to hand it out and eat it instead. I might just be talking about myself. At any rate, welcome to week 11 and kind of our continuation of our Unit 4 module. As I said last week, this is a super short unit last week and this week, and then that's it. And then we're headed into our last unit for this semester next week. And so last week's focus was a little bit of a deeper dive into rhetorical appeals and logical fallacies, and just kind of the rhetorical moves that in particular politicians make because you're the audience, right? And they are trying to get your vote. And so how are they trying to do that? And are they manipulating you in that process, right? And so in looking at the battleground states, a lot of you noticed very clearly how politicians kind of twist words a little bit. And kind of as readers and as listeners, we know that that's happening. So now you have the language to say, oh, I know that that's a straw man. Oh, I know that's ad hominem. And look at that use of pathos to try and manipulate me as a thinker, right? And so it kind of gives you some language and vocabulary to use around that. This week, our attention is being turned to the California ballot. Sorry, my dog is talking to some squirrel outside. So the California ballot is our focus for this week. And it's a little bit similar to last week in that you're going to have an opportunity to choose something on the California ballot. And so you will, so let me preface this by saying I provided all the links for you so that you don't have to go searching around. In fact, if you haven't yet voted, then there are links here for all of the ballot measures, all of the propositions, and all of the national and state offices. None of the local ones are listed here because we're all in different localities and counties. But if you haven't yet had a chance, this is also a good opportunity for you to just kind of get a sense of who's running and kind of what their platform is. But for the assignment, you're going to have an opportunity this week to choose whether you want to kind of research a position, governor, for example, or one of the proposition measures like Prop 27 or Prop 28. So you get to choose what you want to investigate. And let's go ahead and click over actually into the assignment. And what I'm asking you to do is to kind of look at both sides through the lens of rhetoric. Again, it's very similar to what you did last week with the battleground states. Only this time, you, as someone who lives in California, you are the audience. Now you literally are the voter. You literally have the vote in your hands. And so now with that in mind, right, not as someone who's removed, but as someone who has a direct voice in what's going to happen in the vote, now what does that mean for you, right? Again, I'm not interested in your political affiliation. I'm not interested in your political party. That is irrelevant to me. What I am interested in is you thinking about yourself now as a part of the rhetorical situation, right? You're not the writer, you're the audience. And so how is the writer, whoever the creator is, how are they impacting you in that rhetorical situation? And so again, you're going to choose an office or a proposition to kind of do a deep dive. You're going to look at the ads, look at the websites. If you see any videos, you're welcome to watch those. And again, you're kind of looking at those through the lens of rhetoric. And then you're going to write about it, right? What was more effective to you? And again, you can, explain, again, sorry, let me backtrack. I'm not interested in who you are actually going to vote for, right? You don't have to reveal your political party affiliation to me at all. That's not what this is about. But I want you to think about who you would vote for based on what you're seeing rhetorically, even if that isn't necessarily who you ultimately vote for. Does that make sense? So yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah. And I've got that note here. I'm not asking for your political party. The goal here is to, again, to kind of write about what you see as an audience member and kind of thinking about what that means in with rhetoric in mind. Yeah, with rhetoric in mind. Sorry. The goal here is to write about 500 words. That's about a page and a half, maybe 2 pages at least. It's a little bit longer than a writing territory. And again, to kind of think about how you can support your thinking with specific elements from what you saw. So if someone was doing something really effective that you thought, oh my gosh, this makes me think that they're trying to speak to me as an audience member, then be specific about it. You may find with some of these propositions or some of these the roles that are up for vote that they're not speaking to you as the audience, right? And so that's something for you to kind of key into, right? Okay, so 500 words, that's your goal. Due Friday, but again, you have that grace period. Because this is the end of our little mini unit, you do have a reflection due by the end of the week. And again, this is just going to kind of ask you to think about, well, how did this unit help you, or did it help you understand rhetoric in maybe a more real world way? You know, when we're talking about it at the very beginning of the semester and then kind of building up to it, I think sometimes it's really easy just to say, oh yeah, appeals and pathos and logos and blah, blah, blah. But then when you actually see it being used in the Trump-Clinton debate, for example, you're like, oh, now it makes more sense, right? And the reflection is an opportunity for you to consider that. And remember that those reflections, those are required. So excuse me, if you decide that you don't want to do it, you will get an email from me because those are course requirements since we don't have any points or grades in here. All right, that's the main goal of this week. You do have a new unit beginning next week, and that's our last unit in English 221. So enjoy the week. I hope that you enjoy the information about Voting California. I also included links to register if you haven't yet registered. And if you're curious, Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th. So you can register on site in some places. You can hand in your ballot. You can mail in your ballot. But I do hope you vote, regardless of who you vote for. I hope that you vote. So that's my soapbox. Have a great week.